Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. Thank God it's Friday, and good morning to you wherever you are. My name is Ayuba Ilya.
And I am Zainab Bala. Thank you so much for joining us this beautiful Friday morning. I hope you had a wonderful night rest.
And I hope that you have plans for the weekend as well. Feel free to invite us
For a wedding or hangout or something.
Yeah, for happenings. Not tonight though. Have a hangout for tonight.
Yes.
With the boys. Well, I'm not a football kind of a person.
Praise God, because most men are so engrossed, with watching football and all of that, when you even say, I'm talking to you, they don't even know what you're saying. They're so lost.
I feel the pain of so many women. Really.
It's annoying.
When they cannot get the attention of their men because a football match is going on.
Oh.
And so some of them have learned over time to, just play along, join the maybe bandwagon.
Really?
And also, find interest in football as well. I think I've seen a couple. Well, whatever it is, it's important that we have a nice time. And the weekend gives us that opportunity. Today on the show, we'll be looking at quite a lot. We'll be flexing it a little bit more with some of our guests, specifically
entertaining guests.
Entertainers, coming to the studio to talk to us about their career and their journey so far. Well, before that, let's take a look at the events of 26th of November in world history. Please stay with us.
All right, today is the 26th of November in world history. In 2008, Nigeria's Food and Drug Control Agency, NAFDAC, said 25 children have died in the last fortnight after taking a teething mixture discovered to contain a harmful substance. And in 1949, India becomes a sovereign democratic republic. In 1979, oil deposits equaling OPEC reserves are found in Venezuela. And in 1983, at London's Heathrow Airport, almost 6,800 gold bars worth nearly £26 million stolen from BRICS Mat Vault. And also in 2011, NATO forces in Afghanistan attack a Pakistani checkpost in a friendly fire incident, killing 24 soldiers and wounding 13 others.
Well, very, very significant is the one about the children that died, 25 of them here in Nigeria back in 2008. I recall that incident. It was a very, very sad moment for the country. And, that just goes to further demonstrate the need for us to make sure that we don't just get drugs and then take them, but we should make sure that they have all the necessary certification and that they are not expired. I don't know if many people have the habit of checking.
But many people, ask the question, these drugs get certified by NAFDAC? Is it that they did not do proper checks?
Not in entirety. Sometimes, I mean, we always talk about the Nigerian factor. Some of them circumvent the process. They just, bribe their way and get the registration numbers without actually, passing through the process. And sometimes they are fake. Those indications you see on the drugs, they are fake. They are not legitimate. They are not original. So these things, they do happen. But again, I would continue to emphasize that the NAFDAC must be on top of its game in following through and making sure that every drug that is on the shelf in every pharmaceutical is certified and has gone through the whole process of checking to make sure that it is safe for everyone, not just children. So that incident is a reminder, for us to make sure that we take this very, very seriously. Well, let's take a look at other issues on the show. This time around, taking a look at the dailies, the stories on the dailies this morning. Please stay with us. We'll do that briefly after this breather.
But in a situation where you find that a look at the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that. Where you find that a look at the same,
not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that.
All right, we will begin with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, and there you would see the first story at the top. Talks about probe, it says probe PDP's missing 11.8 billion naira, ex-party chair tells EFCC. You'd find details of that on page 34. Also, Yakasai, IBM, Haruna to Buhari, don't pardon Kanu. You'd find that story on page 4. It's been a debate over whether or not the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra should be granted pardon. About a week ago or so, we saw elders, from the southeastern region visiting the president, seeking that the IPOB leader be pardoned. The lead story on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning says, bandits occupy Kaduna Abuja road, operate for 4 days. Almost without any resistance, I may add, to that,
we saw
based
some
on
of
the videos that we've seen,
right,
on social media. The writer says, sack more Niger communities, torch farmlands in Zamfara, 8 victims rescued, police neutralized ringleader, Buhari direct hot chase as military deploy troops. So what happens to the troops that were there before? Are we seeing a fresh deployment now? That's the question for the military to answer. We would also see an infograph there on the front page showing you, the distance between Kaduna and Abuja, just 190 kilometers, and how strategic that road is connecting other parts of the country. There you would see also below that 14 million out-of-school children, potential Boko Haram recruits. That's according to former President Olusegun Obasanjo. That's on page 6. And then at the very bottom, married man, bride to be found dead inside car in Kano. Then the next story there, FG to send 120 doctors to Guinea-Bissau. Troops kill 128 bandits in 2 weeks. So the one about sending doctors to Guinea-Bissau caught my attention. When we say we need more doctors in Nigeria, and then we are exporting doctors, because this is what it is for me. We are sending doctors out there on assignments or based on whatever agreement. I do not understand it. Well, that's that on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the stories on the Punch newspaper this morning. Right on page 17, you'd find fuel worth 12.87 billion lost in 7 months, says NNPC. You'd also find on page 8, Boko Haram has ready tools from today's 40 million out of school children. That's according to former President Olusegun Obasanjo. And on page 3, Malami arrowhead of EFCC's move against Obiano, Anambra alleges. Nigeria Air, federal government to float IPO begins operation with 3 planes. Yesterday we were actually talking about the issue of the Nigeria Air kicking off, and experts were saying we are not ready, but we are just going into something that we are not ready for. So you find the details of that story on page 16 of the Punch newspaper. And the Punch newspaper is leading with the story, subsidy, federal government may deduct 2.4 trillion naira palliative from Federation account. Plans talks. One of the riders states provide list of 42 million beneficiaries of 5,000 legacy monthly. And government must fix refineries before removing subsidy. That's according to Pengasan. You'd also find Lagos planning 3,400 housing units for workers. That's according to Sanwo-Olu. So these are some of the stories on the Punch newspaper.
Very interesting there. I see the lead story talking about the possibility of deducting the 2.4 trillion naira palliative from the Federation account as the lead story. Yesterday we had that discussion here on the program and how that it doesn't sound rational at all. Experts and other analysts have all given their views, on that particular matter. It's like robbing Peter to pay Paul. I think that it's even worse than that, because when the subsidy itself is 1.8 trillion naira, the palliative is 2.4 trillion naira, which is almost double the subsidy that is, meant to be saved. And so if you talk about that palliative, how is that palliative going to actually, in real sense, cushion the effect, of buying fuel at the proposed price? So we'll get to see how all of that turn out. But for us, we'll continue to keep watch on the stories, that made the headlines for you. Now, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper this morning. And on the Punch newspaper, I beg your pardon, we'll look at the Guardian newspaper. And on the Guardian newspaper, the first story there says only 27% African health workers fully vaccinated against COVID-19, says WHO. Another story there says Senate panel wants judiciary to 2022 budget increased by 10 billion naira. FG threatens oil firms with sanction over spillage, and also 27 telecoms operators unable to pay levies return licenses. And then the lead story on The Guardian. Again, Buhari orders service chiefs to tackle banditry insurgency for the umpteenth time. That's my own addition there. The lead story have the following writers. He demands increased surveillance patrol on Abuja-Kaduna Highway, directs them to provide adequate security during Yuletide, hails Nigeria's emergence as VP Interpol Africa, declares Anambra Goba poll free and fair, says 2023 not threatened. We are afraid, worried over security threats on Abuja-Kaduna Highway. That's Kaduna Reps Caucus. Below the pictorial there, showing you the meeting between the president and the service chiefs, you would see a story there that says Nigeria risk fourth wave as South Africa detects deadlier COVID-19 variant. Here we go again. Another mutation.
Terrible.
Well, I hope that we come off this as soon as possible. I do not understand how the whole COVID thing would just keep mutating and changing forms. And,
Looks like it's evolving.
and every, like almost at intervals, we
We
always
see a new
a variant coming.
variant.
All right, that's that for the Guardian newspaper this morning.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the stories on the Nation newspaper. We're seeing exam fees. NECO withholds candidates' result in debtor states. Why Lagos Kano need 1% extra allocation in proposed revenue formula. JAM uncovers 706.189 illegal admissions. NCC extends deadline for submission of bids for 5G. You'd also see 1.39 trillion naira Lagos budget for 2022. Education, infrastructure, top priorities. You'd also find Nigeria Air to provide 70,000 jobs after takeoff next April, says Surika. The writer is saying investors to control 95% stake in national carrier. Labour rejects proposed petrol price hike by government. Source of 5,000 transport grants to 40 million Nigerians not yet determined, says minister. And the senators responding, saying no provision for palliative in next year's budget. NLC, no agreement with the government. These are some of the stories on the Nation newspaper.
Well, very interesting stories there, you may say. Well, the one that another one that got my interest is the one on Daily Trust at the bottom of the infograph there that says 14 million out-of-school children potential Boko Haram recruits. That's according to the former President Olusegun Obasanjo. You know, if you look at that story, for the most of the fighters of Boko Haram and those who are now involved in the banditry and all of that, you'd find that there's some kind of desperation that they get to, or where they are actually looking for a means of livelihood, and then there's no livelihood. And then it seems like these platforms, these Boko Haram and this banditry thing provides
For them.
an engagement for them. And it provides, because they come, they lure them with stipends, telling them
At
and
least
promising
they'll
them
get
a
food.
better life and
Yes.
all of that. And that's how you find that in the past 10 years that we've been fighting this insurgency, they never seem to lack recruits. They
always
They
recruits.
always have recruits.
All
I mean,
over the
despite
country.
all the blows dealt on them by the military, they continue to have these recruits because there are soft targets. There are people who are ready tools for them. People who are desperate, who are uneducated. And these 14 out-of-school children, I think that it's a great danger for the country.
It's terrible.
Really, because,
already.
I mean, you cannot overemphasize the essence of education in a society, because it's a public, or I would say it's a common saying, that an idle man is
a
a
devil's
workshop.
workshop.
So when people do not find things to do, and when they lack what to even eat, they cannot even sustain themselves, then it becomes a problem.
Right.
And a lot of people are also talking about how that the population explosion and the lack of, family planning, in some quarters, it's also part of the problem, because by the time you have, children that you cannot look after them, you cannot provide for them, you cannot give them the best of education, eventually what happens is these children are forced to go on the street, and they will have to fend for themselves. And in the process, only God knows the hands that they get into.
Right,
And before you know it, they mingle with the wrong hands, and before you know it...
Right, already Nigeria is struggling, with the explosive number of out-of-school children. We are topping the charts, over 10 million out-of-school children in the world. And, with this whole security situation, it tends to aggravate, the whole situation. And I really don't know, the government really needs to put in a swift response to this. Some would say it's not just the job of the government, but as citizens as well, we need to, contribute our own quota in ensuring that this, comes to an end.
And compounding the problem more is the issue of, the insecurity that we are dealing with now. You have more and more children that are not going to school, because of these abductions and all of that. No one is safe, so it becomes even very difficult to go to school and all of that. So I hope that somehow we have a turnaround in this situation. People in authority, people in power, well, you have the responsibility to ensure the protection of lives and property. You have a responsibility to look after the welfare of the people, and so it's very important that we do that as much as we can. Well, now let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll take a look at other issues on the program this morning. Please stay with us.
But in a situation where you find that you look like the same,
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that.
Let's head over to Adamawa State, where filling stations are refusing to sell petrol on the official pump price, and the DPR were forced to shut down that filling station. Take a look.
Sadiq Ibrahim, Operations Controller, Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, and his team have intensified surveillance and monitoring activities since fuel queues resurfaced in Yola. Surveillance operations by the fuel regulator, which intensified over the past 2 weeks, is recording some gains as fuel queues begin to ease in Adamawa. Of late, there has been complaints by consumers of sharp practices involving fuel marketers. Some of those caught have been either queried or sanctioned. A total of 7 filling stations have been sealed over the last 2 weeks, while 3 stations have received query for minor infringement.
When a facility refuses to comply and then refuse to recognize the leniency on us, that we close down such facility. To such effect, we closed down 7 facilities. 3 of them were able to pay the penalty to government and we unsealed them. The remaining 4 are still under our seal.
The infringement which warranted the sanctions on the sealed stations is the sale of fuel above the official pump price.
We have not experienced hoarding. We have not experienced any hoarding of product, but selling above pump price is what we have experienced so far.
Motorists across Adamawa say they are beginning to see some improvement in the availability of petroleum products as fuel queues begin to ease in the state. This, however, is not without some complaints by motorists who lament sharp practices by fuel marketers. who sell the product above the official price.
We need more of the DPR activity so that we have more filling stations open. Because some, as of yesterday, I wanted to go to one filling station to take fuel. They close it. If you come, you have to bribe before they open the gate for you. And I say no. I now left. That's why since morning I've been looking for fuel until this time around. I just saw this one now, and I'm going.
There's some little improvement, but the queue is still much, especially with the mega station NNPC, where the price is a little bit different. You see a long queue over there, so some people cannot take it. But some of these other independent marketers, they're a little bit higher, 165. You see the queue is less. So that is the present situation.
Sadiq, while affirming the challenge before his agency in addressing the situation, insists the surveillance embarked upon by his agency over the last 2 weeks has recorded some successes with the easing of fuel queues, as marketers who take fuel delivery from the depot discharge the product accordingly.
This activity 2 weeks ago, and I'm talking to you now, we have recorded a lot of successes because all the filling stations that lifted products yesterday from Yola Depot, 11 of them are all selling. And as you can see, the queues are easing up.
You know, Ayuba, despite, the anticipation for the increase in petrol price, we usually see this when it's Yuletide season. It's December is approaching already. And some of these filling stations hoard fuel. I don't know why it's like that.
And in this case, they are selling above the pump price. So you can imagine. I think that some of the problems that we suffer as Nigerians is self-inflicted. In fact, most of the problems that we experience is self-inflicted. Because other people want to cut corners. Everyone will just want to, have his way and just, and have some kind of unreasonable profit, if you may say. And so it's sad, really, that we're having this experience. So this is happening even before the removal of the fuel subsidy. So imagine what is going to happen, the kind of chaos that we're going to see when eventually the fuel subsidy is lifted. Already we are seeing this kind of panics. If you go to some filling stations, they have decided to hoard, some of these products. And you will see a filling station that has 10 fuel pumps, maybe only two is working.
Or one even.
Or one even in some cases. So you just, you go see queues and all of that. I think that we must go beyond this as a people. And I must commend the DPR there to, doing what they need to do to make sure that I think this will serve as an example for other filling stations. All right, let's take another report again. And this time we'll look at frog delicacy. I know you're wondering what frog, what kind of delicacy frog will be making. But we have a special story on that, and that's from Kebbi State, where one of our reporters went on the street, to the market actually, to file that report. And it will shock you to know that some people actually find frog a very, very very interesting delicacy, and so just take a look. Let me not do the talking a lot.
Just like any other village market in the northern parts of Nigeria, Bunza Market play host to hundreds of traders coming from all over the country, and because of its proximity to the border area, traders from Benin and Niger republics also make it a duty to come to the market weekly in order to display their wares. Traders selling foodstuff, clothing materials, household items, and livestock are everywhere trying to strike a deal. On the other side, hundreds more visit the market to render services to either the traders or those buying stuff. However, the uniqueness of the Bunza market does not stop with the variety of items that are on display. It extends to a special delicacy which is gradually replacing fish or meat on the or thods are not a normal delicacy in the northern parts of Nigeria, but recently the consumption of frogs as a meat or protein supplement in most homes is taking front seats. In Bunza Market, the Kasuwar Kwetli reserves a special place where frog meat is being sold for consumption. Hundreds of cartons of frog meat are sold and taken to all parts of the country to be consumed as meat or fish supplement. According to Malam Umaru, the chairman of the Frog Sellers Association of Kebbi State, a carton of the commodity is sold for 45,000 naira to 50,000 naira and is used for consumption in food. He further said they transport frogs to all parts of the country where most people prefer the delicacy to fish or meat.
al'amari yana kaga wani gari da yana tashi ya tashi dan karami har ya zamba da yana dan karami kowa bai so yanzu ko ya riga ya shiga bukatun mutane abin ya yawa don kwali ne buhu ne na 500 da ya kai naira 1000 yanzu ba kwali ne ana sai zuwa 50,000 har kasuwanci ne ya gurgunta ya manyanta.
The major question now on the lips of most people should be, why frogs and why do Nigerians prefer to consume frog when one can easily get meat and fish at most markets? Dr. Alheri Ibrahim Senchi, a veterinary doctor, while speaking to Trust TV News, explained that more people are turning to frog meat due to the dwindling livestock resources and the overfishing in our rivers and oceans.
First of all, why frogs? Frogs are a source of protein that humans consume. And the reason why this is because the mainstream source of protein for human consumption is expensive. The rate of production and productivity of livestock, which are the mainstream cattle, sheep, goat, fish, chicken, is on the high side, the rate of production as far as cost is concerned. And therefore, the capacity to acquire a kilo, for instance, of meat or fish or chicken, it's expensive for the average person. But when we look at frogs are usually captured from the wild and are not cultured a lot in our country, and so it has become a cheap source of alternative protein for human consumption.
But is frog meat of any benefit to humans, and what type of frog can be consumed safely?
First of all, is that they should be conscious, and I believe even the traditional individuals that are involved in frog hunting or frog selling know varieties that are consumable and that are less likely to cause harm to humans. So let them purchase from such merchants that know sources of frogs that are less poisonous or not even poisonous. But I know that people consume frogs, and these are the smooth-skinned ones. They are usually longer, they leap higher, unlike the toad that takes short strides. The frogs that leap higher, they have bigger eyes, they live predominantly in water. These are the ones that are usually consumed by our people.
The sales in frog meats and its consumption, although new to most communities in Nigeria, is gradually being accepted as an alternative to meat, fish, or some other conventional sources of protein. And with the acceptance, the traders of this delicacy are smiling to the bank. Hamza Galadi Mazuru, Trust TV News from Kebbi State, Nigeria.
Very interesting. Well, I do not know how to start it, but this is quite interesting. First of all, it was sold at 500 naira per carton.
Yes.
And then over the years, it's now sold at 45,000 naira.
That's a huge price
That's
difference.
a huge difference. That's a huge, huge difference. And now, we have in the studio our guest that will be talking to us. She's Dorcas Isa, a comedian. And while we're, speaking behind the scene, she mentioned that it even has a nickname, Jumping Chicken. So in these days, where the price of fish is quite on the high, and then the price of chicken is quite on the high, perhaps you could find an alternative in frog. Let's welcome our guest, Dorcas, to talk to us. I mean, she said even her people eat, this delicacy. Good morning, Dorcas. Good morning, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
So this is quite interesting to know that there are tribes, there are people in Nigeria that eat frogs.
Yeah.
Someone will be watching us and be saying, ew, finding it disgusting. But guess what? It's a delicacy for others. How do they prepare these
Jumping chicken.
The jumping chicken.
Depending on how you want it. Some people can make it as pepper meat. Let's say pepper jumping chicken.
Very
That's very funny.
And then some will have it as pepper soup. Some add it to their soup. Some add it to their rice. Depending on how you want it.
Either
Just
dry,
like
either
chicken.
dry
Just
or
like chicken.
fresh
Yeah.
from.
Yes.
But I want to ask, is it when it's prepared, do you dice it, or the eyes? You do get to see the eyes when you do the pepper.
There are people that dice it. There are people that just prepare it like that.
Oh,
The eyes will be there.
okay.
Watching you. What?
Yes. The eyes will be there. Some eat the eyes, some remove the eyes.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
I find this very,
Interesting.
very, really interesting.
You can
And
try it.
really,
Okay.
I'll prepare
I
it for
don't
you. Very
think-
special.
I don't think I'll ever try it.
It's
I
very
don't
nice.
think there's anything that will make me to do that.
But it's very nice.
I didn't grow up seeing my people consume frogs. The one I know is about snakes.
Yes.
Yeah, I know about snakes. There are people who eat snakes. In fact, people from my place, they eat snakes as well. So,
All species of snakes?
well,
Or is it
I'm not
particular?
sure what species of snakes,
Snake,
but I know that they eat snakes.
Okay.
For rats, that one I don't think is even in use because
I eat rat too.
people
You
from
eat
Benue
rat? Yes.
State, they eat rats, quite a lot. So
Bush rats.
sometimes
Bush
back,
rat. Bush rat?
sometimes back in school we used to make jest of, some of our friends, our colleagues from Benue State, the thieves, for instance, that if you go to Benue State, you won't see a single rat because they've all been eaten by the thief people and all of that. So it's a very interesting thing to know that, just like the common saying, one man's food
Is another man's
man's poison. So
Yes.
I think this is a typical and classical
Example of
example
that.
of that. Well, we welcome you, Dorcas,
Thank
to
you
the
very
studio.
much. Thank you very much.
Well, this is just, by the way, this is not why
Why you're
you
here.
are here. So let's get to meet you, Dorcas.
Okay, my name is Dorcas Issa, but I'm popularly known as the Siberi One. I'm the first female comedian FCT Abuja. And I school in Doben Polytechnic doing my HND. Presently, I'm studying microbiology.
Lovely. I think before we, dive into, the whole conversation, about your career and all of that, let's quickly take a look at, some of her skits. I have some of her videos here, and I would like our viewers to take a look at the amazing work, that she does. Take a look.
Good afternoon, ma. Good afternoon, Sam. My name is Dorcas Issa. I come from Abuja, but my stage name now just Ibiele One. My contestant number now 315. I just come to tell you the qualities of a good Nigeria mother. If your mama never watched for you for jet with this one before, say like this. Your mama never be from Nigeria. You see this one like this. Now they use wipe out evil spirit. Itawai. Those evil spirits where they body where not alive behave way. They go jump, they come out. You see this one where you know they hear, your head don't reach here. They talk, you know they hear. Are you bae? You know here. When mama give this one, wait. That ear, you go open, your brain go walk away. You see this one, I dey call am daddy. This one, you wear the carry chest up. Mama, you dey talk to you, go carry shoulder up. If your mama hit you this one, bye, this shoulder, you go come down. You see this one, hey, your salansu. Even your papa, where the clear say leg, not the stay one place. Even you wear a leg, not the stay one place. If your mama use this one for your head, it black your head. Next time, if you can't this word, your leg, you go stay one place. Lastly, now this one. Your mama the tell you the chook mat. Your mama the tell you the chook mat. When your mama give you, itawai for those ear. Atumba, ba gure as in your ear go open. You go start the earway. Thank you. If your mama not judge these qualities, Kai, introduce the qualities. Thank you.
Double tunes on the track and I love your music. Dusty Berry, landlady in the making. Dusty Berry, she's a 5-star on a rating. Dusty Berry, she keep it day one on a daily. Dusty Berry, for your radio, for your TV. Wahala for who no, Dusty Berry, 100% creativity. You suppose I know Dusty Berry, once, yeah, anywhere she go, trouble danger. She no young, gotta sleep, trouble will come. Say where till the find you go get them. Say who the doctor, make a check and street credibility, I say yeah, she get them. Oh yes, I'm talking Dusty Berry, she keep it day one on a daily. She's a 5-star on a rating. Why I ready up,
My baby. Now has I been the go. This one was small, like you know what, Bullo. And your body just like your name, snuggly art. What don't
You're not serious. How are you?
I've been up in your house now. I said that clean.
Oh.
Why they make you fine like why they make you do fine. La mommy water.
Okay.
Well, good yeah. I know my boyfriend they look another J. I want fine too.
Oh, you're talking about Larepa place. That lady, she's trying. She makes amazing body cream, face cream, body scrub, oil that will make your skin glow.
I just want, no, just one. Call me go.
Don't worry, let's go.
Thank you.
Modi says that na papa. Like where we go get some from self.
For that guy, for that coro, that guy, he is that legit.
I don't feel the smell since beg my feelings small.
Okay, that's Dusty Berry one as she's called. So could you just walk us through what made you go, into comedy?
Okay. Comedy is something I've had passion for right from small when I was coming up, but I did not have someone to put me through. Something I love doing. I love seeing smile on people's faces. So while I was coming up, there's this accent I noticed I was having, the baggy accent. Whenever I'm with people, when I use the accent to speak, they laugh. So I came to realize it was a talent, but I didn't put it in because there was nobody there to put me through. Not until I met Mr. Ibrahim 2019 November when I went for Miss Gbagi pageantry, Miss Gbagi Nigeria. I did not win. I did a video with one of the camp instructor, inviting people to the grand finale with the accent. So that was how Mr. Ibrahim, that's my manager, that was how he saw the video, and then he said to come over to the event where we met. At first, when I met him, he was like, I saw one of a video and I want to groom you. But I didn't pick interest because, now I was thinking he's one of those guys that want to. Yes. So along the line, I discussed it with one of my friend and he said I should just. So that was how I met him, and then he started grooming the talent. He started writing scripts for me. Yes, started writing scripts for me, and that was how. Interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting. Now, the Gbagi accent, I'm interested in that. You've been speaking English all along. And,
we didn't hear that.
We need to hear that part. It's a popular accent, that we hear, each time we hear Gbagi people, especially if you go to some of the villages and local communities, you hear that. So maybe you could just give us a few seconds of, that accent.
I don't know, I'm just blushing.
Oh, my God.
It is making me to the blush. Yes.
Interesting. So how do you put out your skits? How do you produce your skits? And do you do stand-up comedies as well? Do you attend events? What kind of events do you attend?
Okay. I attend all kind of events. Yes, and I do stand-up comedy. I also anchor programs, and yes, I also work with Wazobia FM as an AOP. Every Fridays is my show, and yeah, all kind of
Okay.
event.
I think I at a point in time there was a comedy. I don't know if it was a comedy show or something that you won.
Okay, it was
recently.
a talent show.
Okay, it was a talent show.
Yeah, it was a talent show.
Okay, so could you just talk to us about how that came about?
Okay, it was last year. We saw it on Instagram because sometimes we try some competition online, yes. So we saw it on Instagram and then we decided to give it a try. At first, after we registered it was free. At first, it was not looking like something that was real. But towards the ending of last year, we were sent a message to do audition video, which I did, and that was how, yes, I did the video, and we're about 500 contestants. Then 200 were selected, and luckily I was among the ones that were selected. And then we went for online voting. So I was one topping for the online voting, yeah. My fans, they voted for me. Yes. And then we went for the grand finale. I was the only female standing. And to the glory of God, yeah, I won the talent show.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, we have more clips.
Yes, we have more clips, of her.
Let's take a look at one more clip of Dorcas doing her thing, She's blushing here in the studio.
Yeah, the blush, guide, it is not easy.
When you enter a bigger truck,
hey, now my telebu,
you are here today.
Now my telebu, take the go. Thank you.
No, you can do
This one goes well.
The guy for don't do your work. You don't do your work. You don't confirm well.
But how can the nation stand when the pillar is
this one, why they observe me like this? One key.
say yes to life and no to drugs? Why you wanna kill yourself?
Carry on.
Why you wanna hurt yourself?
Johnny just go.
Don't you know?
2 seconds, everything don't go.
And to this place, don't dirty. One washer. Collect blue.
Carry on.
Matasa dole fa mu tashi, mu daina yin abin da zai samu baci, kar mu sa rayuwar mu cikin takeici, saboda shaye-shaye bai da 'yanci. Karka bata lokacin da zaka ci, karka je ka sha abin da zai fitar mahayyaci. Karka bata lokacin da zaka ci, karka je ka sha abin da zai fitar mahayyaci. Nace ka daina, ka daina shan ganye. Nace ka daina, nace ku daina, kafin ta sa ku hatsari. Nace ku daina. We lose some focus now from the drugs where we take. We lose so many lives from the drugs where we take. Education and further from the drugs where we take. So many rape a days from the drugs where we take. Now together we go rise, oh. You listen to my vibes, oh. Together we go rise, oh. To make the place unite, oh. Now together we go.
To be a man is not by drinking or smoking. I just wanna let you know you're killing yourself for being a man, a man. Oh, 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 oh. Stop killing yourselves slowly, my friend.
Dossi berry one, wahala day for Dossi berry one. Anywhere she enter, she cause palava. Okro and bean, she dey put the sugar. Oh, amebo, wahala, kasala, she get amo. Amebo, drama, palava, she get amo. Amebo, wahala, palava, she get amo. Amebo, wahala, drama, she get amo. Oh, say wahala.
You love my Kwamiadu? Subscribe to my YouTube channel. More is coming the way. My goodness, I cannot stop laughing.
Very funny. One would say the things that people do when they're under the influence of, intoxicants like this. Well, very, very, interesting, comedy skits there.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk about your messaging. Each time you do comedies, what's your focus? What do you want to, pass across out there?
Okay, I'm focused on addressing social issues. Yes, like the one you just watched now is talking about drugs. We have a lot of youths that are into drugs, and some of them, they don't know the implications of those things they take. So some of my skits are talking about the bad side of taking drugs, and then we'll have some skits are talking about the ladies. We have a lot of ladies out there, they don't want to work, like engage themselves in doing things that will bring them money. Some want to go the other way around. So I do skits to address that, to the side effect of not hustling on your own. Yes, so basically that is just addressing social issues.
Okay, so would you say there has been any challenge for you being a female comedian? You face any challenge?
I've faced so many challenges. Like when I was coming up, when we go for shows, my manager will have to beg those people hosting shows just to feature me. And some will be like, she's a lady, she cannot deliver. Like in the bodies of FCT comedians, we don't have, I think if we should have any comedian, female, should not be more than one. Yes, should not be more than one. So they feel as a lady you cannot do a stand-up comedy. Yes. So as a lady I've faced that too, and then people will want to take advantage. Yes. Like if they are inviting you to an event, they want to take the advantage of a lady. You're a lady, you cannot deliver, so you have to offer something for them to give you that chance. Yeah.
So how have you, responded or overcome, some of these challenges? Definitely we have to face challenges every day in our lives.
Yes. With the help of my manager. I have a manager that has been my backbone, and everything basically has been on him. Sometimes he will go to them, he will not let them know that I'm a female. It's only on the day that you get to meet me. So basically everything has been on him. Yes, everything has been on him. Me, I'm just there, I'll just come out, and he has been the one fighting all the inner battles for me.
Very interesting. Taking all the heat on your behalf.
Yes.
Oh, that's really very interesting. Now, where do you see yourself in the next in the coming years doing stand-up comedy? What do you aspire to achieve?
Okay, I just want to grow globally, and I pray, like I've been working honestly to see myself working with the big personalities in comedy, people like Alibaba, AY, Worry Pekin, the big comedian Helen Paul, and so many of them. So I've been working to see how I will get to meet with them and then see how I will grow globally.
You know, looking at all these people that you've mentioned, Worry Pekin, Helen Paul, they are all women, comedian, and I would say to an extent they've really thrived in that industry. What would be your message, for other women who want to go into comedy, but because of all of these challenges, that we see, that would, try to encourage them, to despite all of the odds, still push through and make it in comedy?
Okay, my advice is just keep trying, keep striving. You don't need to wait for someone to bring you up. Do something, put something out there. We have social media. Like social media has helped me to grow. Some of my skits, I'll put them online. I don't know people that are watching. When I go out, you get people saying, is it not this Dosiberry? Is it not Dosiberry? So if you've seen that this is what you have passion for and this is what you want to do, you have a phone, you have an Android phone, do something. Put it out on social media. You don't know who is watching.
Right.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming. For coming and being part of the show this morning. We've been speaking with Dorcas Isa, aka
Dosiberry One. And the other one is a cancer.
Really. Very interesting. She's a comedian, and we are excited to have her in the studio. Hopefully, you'll join us again another time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, the show will continue. Please stay with us.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
All right, thank you for staying with us. You're watching Daybreak on Trust Television, and today is Daybreak special, if you can say.
Interesting, entertaining Daybreak Day.
Yes, that's what we intend to do for Fridays. And now we'll be taking a look at yet another report, this time around about the cost of meat. So when the price of meat is on the high, perhaps you should consider
frog.
Other alternatives, which we suggested earlier, which is frog. So take a look at this report, and it's from Gombe State.
Customers in Gombe main market said they used to buy a kilogram of raw meat at the price of 1,700 naira, but now the story is different, with the price of the commodity skyrocketing. Some buyers who spoke to Trust TV explained how the hike has affected them.
No, the price of meat now is too costly. It's very high, especially cow meat. It's 2,700 some places. If it is goat meat, it's 2,400. Depend the place. Some places is 2,500 naira. That is the price they are selling it.
Does it affect how you buy it?
Yes, it affects us. Like me, it's below. I did not buy kilo. I used to just buy 500, 400 because it's too cost now.
Nama na zo saya, amma da na zo saya nama na samu kilo ya haura fiye da duk inda muke zamani.
I came to buy meat, but I discovered that the price of a kilogram has skyrocketed. We buy a kilogram between 2,200 naira, 2,300, even 2,000 naira, and so on.
So farashin nama ya hawa fiye da da.
Before I used to buy 3 to 5 kilos, but because of the price increase, I resorted to buying 3 or 2 kilos.
With this hike in price of raw meat in the market, butchers said they are not making more profit with price increase either.
Bambancin quality. Wannan naira 650.
The price of meat depends on the quality. This cow was bought for 650,000 naira, and some cost 300,000, 700, and even 800,000 naira. We used to buy and slaughter. If you go to cow market now, a cow that sold for 300,000 naira last year now sells for 600,000 naira. And those of us who are rearing buy livestock feeds at 6,500 naira per bag.
How about increasing the price of the meat nowadays? The problem is not our problem. Actually, we are not happier for that issue. Even we didn't get more profit than before.
These customers are hopeful that prices of raw meat and other commodities in the market will be stable at an affordable rate to make life easier for all Nigerians. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail for Trust TV.
All right, well, there you have it. It's appalling. Virtually everything is, the cost of everything is on the rise. We're talking about food inflation, and of course, meat is one of those things that we consume, every day. And so when you see the prices going up like that, you begin to wonder, so what are we going to do? I mean, if the meat is like this, even though, yes, we have alternatives like frog, but how many people will
jumping
eat
chicken?
The jumping chicken.
And it's expensive too, when you look at it.
Exactly.
Here in Abuja, I think a slice of meat now, it goes for 15 naira, just a slice. Cubed slice of meat is 15 naira. So if you want to buy for, let's say, 200 naira, that's how many pieces for? Just 4 pieces of meat.
And if that's the case here in the northern part of the country, I cannot imagine what it is like in the south. Yeah, because we have more cattle here, and so the price of meat should be much lower than what is over there in the south. But this is what the case is at the moment. So I don't know what else or what is causing this. I mean, would you also say that dollar is also impacting on the cost of cattle?
Really. We do a lot of that here. When say the price of dollar is fluctuating, Nigerian market sellers will say, yes, the dollar is high, so tomato is also expensive.
Exactly. So you see why I said earlier on that for some of the things that we suffer here in Nigeria, it is self-inflicted. I mean, what's the correlation between tomatoes and dollar? You may say, okay, maybe fertilizer and all of that, but hey, how much of impact does that have really? So we have to do ourselves a favor. Please, for those who are traders in the market, cut some slack for Nigerians. It's not easy really even getting the money out there. It's very difficult for everyone. So if you increase the costs, who is going to pay for that? Because don't forget, the person that comes to you to buy things, is also struggling with income. In some cases, the income has dropped. In some cases, the income is no longer
sufficient,
even there,
right?
and all of that. So it's something that we all need to be concerned about. Now, let's take a look again at another report. This time around, talking about women inclusion in governance and politics. We saw a protest by some women in River State, Niger Delta region, about a week ago or so, that went on a protest to demand certain things. Let's take a look at that.
The protesting women carried placards with various inscriptions of "No more one-man show," "Minister will need a board," demanded the immediate dissolvement of the interim management committee of the NDDC and women's inclusion in an eventual constituted substantive board. The coordinator of the group, Barrister Adiembo Odiganu, and other protesters expressed dissatisfaction to newsmen that the women, drawn from all corners of the region, had decided to speak up from where the men choose to play politics with the Commonwealth of the region. They called for the immediate sack of the NDDC's sole administrator, noting that his continuous stay in office contravenes the act that set up the NDDC, adding that the audit report should be published and a substantive board should be constituted with women being on the board.
Our reasons are simple, and these are the reasons. 1, sack the illegal sole administrator. Constitute the NDDC board. 3, made public the report of the forensic audits. 4th and last, when constituting the board, women, grassroots women, should be properly incorporated into the system. We notice women have not been carried along all this while. Can't a woman be one of the board, one of the directors of the board?
Women are suffering. Our men will come here. They will give them a Ghana must go. They go. They will not remember us. Women, no road. Most of us will go to the farm. No roads for them to bring their produce to the town. We need a board. We don't need interim anymore. We need a board. A board should be constituted so that women will be carried along in NDDC. We need to show what we are made of. Most of us here are graduates. We are not working. We are just struggling to meet up. Meanwhile, there are offices here for us to hold.
We, the women of Niger Delta, we are tired. We don't have access road. We don't have water. Our children are no longer going to school. How do we get to those people if we have our board members? At least it's grassroots where we can get to them and talk to them. For example, the Abia State where I come from, the only producing area, the Obehi Junction to Azumi leading to Akwa Ibom State. We don't have access road to that place. But I can remember when he was a governor, he used to pass through that road. But we are producing oil, but nothing to show.
First, we're here for justice, and secondly, we want employment. That's just what we want. We want employment. As you can see, everything we wrote there is about employment. Our youths are just roaming around. There's nothing, no jobs, nothing to do. We're all at home doing nothing. All we just need is employment. I don't know who is in charge, but we know Akpabio is there. If Akpabio can hear us, please, we want him to address us. Not just address us, we want him to answer us. We need answers right now.
Please make them see us. We, the Niger Delta women, we know they benefit anything. Like me, I get graduates for house, no work. Many of us here, they are graduates, but no job for them. We need work. We need empowerment. They should empower us.
The Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of operations in the state, Udu Ogechi, who was on the ground to receive the women's protest letter, urged the women to be calm while assuring them that their demands will be channeled to the authorities.
Assuring you that this problem will be resolved. So I am in charge of operations in this command. So I have come to know your anger and your need and your request. I'm going to take it to authority, and I'm assuring you that it will be resolved.
The group threatened to go naked in subsequent protests, disclosing that they will not back down on their demands until practical steps are taken to address their issues.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Well, there you have it. Women inclusion in governance. And that's all that the protesters are asking, from the video that we watched earlier on. Very important. I think that they are making their voices heard and that government needs to come through, with this. They are talking about the interim board, of the NDDC, how that they do not want that board. They want a substantive board, for the NDDC, and that there should be women inclusion.
Yes.
Very interesting. All right, now let's take a look at the young people again and how, technology is creating jobs for young people in our country. This time we go to Kano, where we'll take a look at this report. Take a look.
This is called Farm Center GSM Market, the largest in northern Nigeria and perhaps one of the busiest in the country. From the technicians to dealers to traders of mobile accessories, there are well over 20,000 youth trading here daily.
Za ka ga matasanmu a wannan kasuwa tamu suna dogaro da kansu kuma daidai gwargwado za ka ga suna zuwa kasuwan nan suna kuma zuwa makaranta. Wannan ba karamin achievement bane ba a wannan kasuwa tamu kuma har kullun abin da ni yake jin daɗi da shi yaron da ya rasa abin yi na sana'a in ya zo nan koya yake zai samu abin yi.
In Kano, mobile business is regarded as one of the major sources of employment for this youth and also a means of revenue generation for government. However, 20 years down the line, government inability to empower this youth is gradually threatening their ability to sustain their businesses.
Kasuwa yana samun kwastoma saboda harkar waya a Najeriya ba inda ya kai Kano. Lagos ta fi mu sai da accessories, amma inda a sai da waya ne ba inda ya kai Kano. Amma Lagos ta fi mu sai da accessories. In harka accessories ne, ma'ana spare part na waya, screen guard, charger, earpiece, Lagos ta fi Kano.
With this huge population of youth in Farm Center GSM Market, and of course, several other GSM markets across the state, the need for government intervention to further boost the economy is considered necessary.
Wani abu guda daya wannan har yanzu gwamnati bata sa ido a kanmu ba da bata kula da ta yi shawalatin bangaro ta da mu wanda yake an san cewar kowa ya sani cewar matasa su ne ainihin Najeriya ma gaba daya ko kuma rayuwa ma gaba daya yau aka ce babu ni in akwai dana ko akwai kani na ko akwai wannawa shine zai takin kwa ba to in ya zama babu wannan ko kuma ba shi foundation mai kyau ba kaga lamari ya lalace amma da zara an ce yau gashi alhamdulillah gwamnati ta shigo ta tallafa wannan matasa su ma sun taimaka waɗansu na ƙasa da su to kaga alhamdulillah an samu ci gaba.
Unless something is done in this hard times of economic uncertainty, the future of this place may likely continue to remain bleak. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Oh, very interesting there. GSM Village is something that I think that you find in virtually
every city.
In every state.
Yes.
And that's creating a lot of job opportunities for young people. And I think that they should be encouraged because that's, I mean, when you can generate employment, mostly from what we know, the drivers of employment is usually not government jobs per se, but it's the private sector that generate jobs. And so whatever it takes to make sure that the private sector thrives and do well to create those jobs, I think that's where government should be focusing on. And with the case of the GSM Village, I think that they can do more to encourage them, just so that when we have more engaged people, there will be no time for banditry and insecurity. Really.
And attacks here and there.
All right, let's take a look at yet another report. This time around, talking about electricity tariff. The NERC is reviewing, said it's going to review, the hike in the price of power in Nigeria. Take a look.
At a time Nigerians contend with sharp rise in the price of cooking gas and food items, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has announced a 32.8% and 21.7% increase in the cost of electricity prepaid meters. Meanwhile, the NERC has slated December 2021 for a review of transmission loss factor in multi-year tariff order, which is to address electricity tariff payable by customers in different classes based on the level and quality of service provided by the electricity distribution companies. Prepaid electricity consumers have continued to lament the hike in power tariff amidst economic downturn.
Yeah, for me, I just feel it's so unreasonable from the part of the government, because now that the country is already going through a lot of problems, economic problems, hardship and everything, and it's not the time to increase tariff. And they should be looking at ways to even make the citizens to be more comfortable, not to increase the hardship in the government. Because for me, increasing the tariff, it's not the best for now. They need to have a rethink on how to make life very, 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 very meaningful and easy for its citizens. Because, man, it's not funny. It's not been it's been terrible. Because buying units, 5,000 units that we used to buy before, that was taking for approximately 2 weeks. It doesn't even last for even 10 days.
I've had to cut down in my usage of electricity because I think that's the only realistic way to adjust the situation. Yeah. Well, I mean, it does help that there's no light. There's not 24-hour electricity, of course. So usually when there is light, you want to maximize it, and then you can use the AC and all of that. But when the electricity is stable, I think the only realistic way is to cut down on the use.
When I overheard about the increase of electricity tariff, I was really upset because it's affected everybody generally. And so far so good. What I want the government to do now, they should work on it. Because so far those people at the lower, at the grassroots as well, since they cannot afford feeding and other things. So for them to have to pay such an amount of money to electricity tariff, it's very, very much. So the federal government should do something about it.
Nigerian, as a matter of fact, most of what we use were based on electricity. Everything, all the gadgets, appliances we use in our home. Just as a matter of that, our fathers, and it's just a takeoff of pressure from the government, because you will see people now. People will be very restricted in using some of these appliances, so as not to pay much with this electricity tariff. But the hike has affected many things, even the commercial purposes. It also affect us.
As part of efforts to reduce the burden of cost, over 860,000 meters have been distributed for free to about 8 million power users under Phase 0 of the National Mass Metering Program, while procurement of 4 million meters will be distributed free of charge to unmetered power users nationwide. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
With this report, I really hope the NERC, takes time to review power tariff in the country, because majority of people complain that when they buy units, before you know it, everything is gone, and they keep asking questions. What is the problem? And now that the NERC is planning, to hike or has already hiked the price in, meters and all of that, it's really a problem for us here.
Yeah, we cannot overemphasize the need for power in our country as a people. It's something that we live with every day. We cannot live without. As a matter of fact, as a result of this, evolution, growth in terms of technology and on all of that. So yes,
need power.
Power is a need. It's not luxury anymore.
No, it's a need.
Yeah. So whatever it takes to bring down the cost of power. I mean, I think Nigerians are just going through quite a lot. On the one hand, you see food inflation. On the other hand,
there's insecurity.
You see insecurity. And then on the other hand, we're also talking about fuel subsidy.
So much happening at the same time.
And all of that. So quite a lot really happening, And then don't forget that there's a dwindling in the, income of many Nigerians really. And what 5,000 naira can do for you in the past 6 months cannot do for you.
In 2 days.
Now in 2 days. So when you hear even government say we're going to be given 5,000 naira for transport, palliative and all of that, you ask the question, what can 5,000 naira do really? Yesterday I saw a video that went viral on social media about a governor, of a state who was being interviewed and said, look, for women who just put to bed, they are given 500 naira. They call it delivery allowance.
What are women supposed to do with 500 naira?
Exactly. So, it went viral on social media, and it was really laughable, when you think about it. And, 500 naira, really, for who in Nigeria? What can 500 naira really do? Because the truth is, whether we like it or not, certain currencies, certain denominations of currency are fizzling out. You wouldn't even find, say, 10 naira now.
Yes, it's quite difficult
5
to see
naira, them. Or 20 naira.
I've not seen 5
it's
naira
rare.
in
you
a while.
You don't even find that. The least you would see
50 naira.
is 50 naira. And what can 50 naira actually do for you?
Not
these
even
days?
bread. There's no bread for 50 naira.
So what are we talking about really? When we say this money is insufficient, that no matter how poor you are, I don't know what village you will be in Nigeria today, that 500 naira can actually do anything for you. I don't know what village that is. And if that village exists, then it must really be a very thick village. I mean, it's a reality. Even if it is bike you want to take now, commercial motorcycle, like we call them bikes, is from minimum is 50 naira.
Yes.
And depending on the distance of where you're going
yes,
to.
actually, depending on the distance.
What can 500 naira really do to anyone in this country? It's appalling. It's appalling. And I hope that we do better in terms of improving the lives of people. If we can invest more in infrastructure, I think that some of these palliatives and some of these monies that we even give, there wouldn't even be need for that. Right. Why not just use that money that you are even giving out as palliative? Because it's like handout, right?
Yes, handout.
Yeah, it's like a handout.
Yes, more so.
You are giving people that money. They say, don't give me fish. Teach me how to fish. But we have mastered the act of giving out handouts today. We have even formalized it.
I
government
think
giving handouts.
Because of poverty.
And what would that do to anyone?
Because of poverty, Nigerians are subjected to want to collect these palliatives, as they are called. And it's not taking us anywhere.
It's not. If anything, it's even making the people more poorer, if you ask me. So I think that the way to go is to invest in infrastructural development. Create an environment where people can thrive. That way you don't even need to give anybody anything. I think that's where we are missing it. Well, that's that. As far as
you look angry. You look angry, pissed already.
It's sad, really. It's sad. I know some of our viewers have seen that video, trending on social media. So it's something that just shows the thinking of our political office holders, and it's really shameful and embarrassing. Well, that's that for the show. I believe we would end the show today here at this point. Quite a lot to look at, and if you've missed, you can always catch up on our YouTube channel and also follow us across all social media handles. My name is Ayuba Ilia. Thank you for watching the show.
And I'm Zainab Bella. We're going to leave you, with this documentary piece titled Restrained. It's about young maids who are employed, to work, very, very young, children who are employed to work as maids in people's houses, and all of the struggles and all of the, trail that you go through to employ some of these children.